Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden coming to you from the Blue Trail headed up Bald Mountain in Bennington, where I live. And I thought I'd give you another edition of what I've learned in 20 years of being vegan as I trudge up the mountain in my big boots. So excited that we still have winter here in Vermont, even though it's April 8th. We just got a couple inches of snow yesterday, and there's a lot on the ground up here on the mountain. So what I want to talk about today is that people are slow to change. This is probably the biggest lesson that I have learned in the past 20 years. And I probably learned it the most as I've become a coach. And not just become a coach, but really worked hard to be an effective coach. And rather than simply sharing an ideology or sharing a philosophy of how to get people to be vegan or how to get people to exercise and be runners or run faster, my goal as a coach now is to help people be more effective and to help people be more compassionate with themselves and others, because I truly believe that that is how you become more effective. That self-compassion and compassion towards others, compassion in general, regardless of the focus, is the way to greater effectiveness. Because compassion is about widening what is acceptable. It's about widening the scope of what you will allow into your life. And that requires the ability to deal with your own feelings and to deal with discomfort, to deal with situations that you don't like, to deal with situations that just feel wrong, or that seem too effortful, or they seem unfair. So as a coach, I help people allow discomfort into their lives, and then I help them to work with it. So as a human being, coaching myself as well, I put myself into uncomfortable situations on a regular basis. And then I watch, I observe, I listen to the parts of me that are not conscious. And rather than forcing them to do things, like I'm going to force you to go up this mountain today in your big boots, I just get myself started, I crank it up, put myself in motion, and then say, okay, what shows up? What conversations am I having with myself? How is my body talking to me? And how am I talking to my body? Or how am I talking to other people? How is this moment here in the woods on the mountain related to my identity? Related to my presence on the internet, on YouTube? How is this going to affect my race resume and whether or not people listen to what I have to say because, wow, that guy's old and he's really fast and he eats a plant-based diet, so he's somebody we want to listen to. Is that part of the conversation that I'm having today? I don't know. I want to find out. I want to tune in. What shows up in the midst of discomfort? And can I allow all of that to be there? That's compassion. To sit with suffering. That's what the word compassion means. Compate, to suffer together. Pati is suffering. So patience means the ability to be with your suffering. Sympathy, sympathy, empathy, empathy. To be compatible means that people can suffer together and they're okay. That my suffering doesn't bother you and your suffering doesn't bother me. We are compatible, and therefore we have compassion for each other. So, as a coach and as a person, My journey now is to widen my scope, to widen the conversations that are taking place by first allowing them to exist. Can I be in the midst of an uncomfortable situation and not be right or make somebody else wrong? Not reject what is, but say, this is what is, it's happening whether I like it or not. And there's a lot of feeling in me, and it's strong, and it's compelling, and it's trying to move me into action, towards or away, fight or flight, or to another F, to date. So what do I do in the midst of that? Who am I in the midst of strong emotion? Who am I in the midst of discomfort? I want to know. So back to the initial learning that I started this video with. People change slowly because change requires that you change. And what? Yeah, change requires that you change. And that sounds like a stupid statement or an obvious statement, but it's not obvious at all. Because the part of you that needs to change is the part of you that's trying to change everything else. The part of you that needs to grow and to open up is the very part of you that's consciously narrating a story of how the world is wrong. Other people are wrong. People are stupid. People are ignorant. They can't be trusted. Democracy doesn't work because they elect stupid people. The world's gone to hell. My body's gone to hell. I hate my life. Whatever the story is, whatever the narration is, the change that this part of us wants, you could call it the ego. I call it I. The change that it wants is external. It wants other things to change. For instance, if it's about your body, well, I wants to make my body exercise so that, really, really steep here. I want my body to exercise so that it changes. So I forces my body into a boot camp because I knows that it won't do it on its own. But if I have a trainer, if I have a coach, then I can be forced to do it. And I have to be forced to do it because I don't want to change. I don't want to be responsible for these things. I want somebody else to take responsibility for them. I want my body to change. I don't want to change. And this is really hard to grapple for most people because they're listening to this conversation. Maybe you are listening to this conversation with that part of you, with your conscious narrative identity, the story that you tell about yourself, the fabric that you weave that feels like your life. But that's not really who you are. It's just a story that you keep telling to yourself and to others. And you don't do it on purpose. And you don't do it because you're delusional. You do it because you're human. Our brains are built to do this. It's not a bug. It's a feature. And it's a really useful feature for our ancestors who lived in environments that were incredibly difficult and didn't have comfort and convenience like we have now. So we try to figure out ourselves and the problems of the world from the comfort of our homes or in front of a computer as we type and contemplate. But our brains were not built in those environments. Our brains did not adapt for comfort and convenience. Our brains adapted in the midst of discomfort and inconvenience. And there were no movies to go to. There was no music to listen to. There was just life, man. And it was hard. And it was nasty. And it was windy. And it was dangerous. Like where I am right now. Walking on icy rocks on the edge of a cliff. To show you the view of Bennington below. Hold on. Whoa. So here I am on the top of the White Rocks. It's a quartz outcropping. And there's the Valley of Vermont and Bennington below. And there's Mount Anthony behind me. One of my favorite places to run. But I'm not here. Actually, I'll take a short look. Yeah, it's much nicer in person. Alright, so back to our brains. We, in modern life, we process things from a privileged position. And this is a privilege that I don't hear people talking about, and I think that's unfortunate because I think we could deal with our societal issues so much better if people understood the privilege of living in the 21st century. Because holy cow, do we have it easy in the 21st century. Like what I'm doing right now. It's just extraordinary that I have the ability to do this and then share it with you around the world. And that is a privilege that I do not want to take for granted. So I put myself in environments like this one that could kill me, that challenge me. I don't have food or water. The pack on my back is just for this camera. I'm wearing heavy boots. And my boots. Oops. And it's snow, and it's a 2,000-foot climb. And I do this on purpose so that my thinking is shaped by environments similar to those that our ancestors evolved in. Ooh. So that my thinking is grounded in the real nature of existence and not in the complex environments that we now find ourselves in, where so many things are taken care of for us that we can feel like we are the victims of all kinds of atrocities that are purely conceptual. Most of the actual physical harms in our lives are long gone for the vast majority of people on this planet. Not everybody, and that's really unfortunate. But for most of us, if you're watching this, you get a pretty safe life. So, back to, again, the original statement. People don't change quickly because the part of them that really, the part of them that would make a difference if it changed is the very part that's trying to change everything else. And that is the thing that I have learned as a coach that has really challenged me and confronted me. And it's the thing that I don't have a great answer for anymore. And this is why I don't call myself an activist anymore, because I realize that the hard problem of consciousness, unlike the hard problem as defined by philosophers in neuroscience, but to me, the hard problem of consciousness when it comes to being a human being and actually being alive in a world with other people in it is that we're not built to change, at least not quickly, and we're built to take the path of least resistance. And when we sit in our comfortable environments, the path of least resistance is often to be comfortable, to wake up and do yoga and have a green juice and then get on the internet and complain about injustice. and act superior or righteous to others. And I have those thoughts. I have them. I'm human. We are built to be tribal. We are built to feel like there is an us and a them. We are built to feel right and wrong, black and white, good and bad. And we are skewed towards feeling that we're the good ones and that the bad ones are the other ones. We're built like that. And I have to constantly humble myself by doing things like this to put myself in environments, again, that can kill me. To remind me that I'm not all that. To remind me that I'm not right. I'm just a temporary passenger in a much larger system, in a much larger context. And regardless of what I accomplish, and regardless of how significant my I may think it is, this is temporary. And everything I do will eventually be forgotten, and that's okay. It's okay. That's not bad. It's not good. It just is. So, this is not the video that I intended to make, but it's what's coming out of my mouth. And that's how I do things now. I find I don't want to script things. I don't want to have a bullet point list of, here's the top 10 things I learned from 20 years of being vegan. I don't see the value in that because it's abstract, it's out of context. Context is infinitely complex and inextricably complex. Excuse me. You can think that you've got it all figured out. You can think that it's all really clear. You can think that everything makes sense. But that's it, you're just thinking these things. It's easy to think things. It's very different to actually do something with those thoughts that yields consistent results. That's a completely different animal. And that's my goal in life now, is to say, okay, I've got these high lofty thoughts, I've got these ideals. And in these ideals, there's ideal people and ideal ways of doing things. And of course, the ideal people are the ones that think like me, right? Well, because again, our brains are built to make us the star of the show. We're the protagonist, not the antagonist. Well, even if you're depressed and suicidal, you're still the protagonist. And it's an unfair life for the protagonist, but you're still not an antagonist. It's just that everything in life is just horrible and unbearable. And that's how you take control of things as the protagonist. You end it. So I want to always be present to the fact that ideals are just ideas with an L added to them. That's it. They're just ideas, they're just thoughts. They don't really have much significance in the grounded world, the material world. They're just thoughts. So let's put that thought to the test. Let's put that ideology to the test. And as a coach, all right, I'm going to coach you to be vegan, and I'm going to coach you to be really fit and run fast. But where do my ideas fall apart? You've seen this, I'm sure, in the vegan YouTube community with certain groups. I won't mention names, but certain very strongly opinionated vegan YouTubers saying if the diet doesn't work, it's you that failed, not the diet. The diet is perfect. The diet is ideal, and I'm off trail. I think this is it. I'm on top of the mountain in a spruce magus. So if you're having challenges on a diet, it's because you are not ideal. You're not doing the diet the right way. There's nothing wrong with the diet. And that's an ideal. It's not tested in the real world, because in the real world you find out that, oh wow, this is actually really complex and people are different and there's all kinds of unforeseen challenges, and